Hello, Internet. This is Ewan Spence and ESC Insight calling. Goodbye, Eurovision national selections. We shall never forget you. Anyway. Coming up, the EBU have all the songs, the Netherlands have all the postcards, and we have all the results. Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Ewan Spence here from ESC Insight. Welcome to the Eurovision Insight News podcast. A quick look back at the last 7 days in the world of the Eurovision Song Contest as the songs get selected and sent off to Geneva to be rubber stamped before they head over to Rotterdam and this year's Eurovision Song Contest taking place in May. We got a whole bundle of stuff coming up for you in the next 15-20 minutes or so, but remember you can stay up to date and read our articles on the contest back at our website escinsight.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast in the usual places. We also have a Patreon page as well if you want to support us for the price of fancy coffee per month. That's at escinsight.com/Patreon. That'll take you through to the right page. Okay, we've got all the new stuff of where you can find ESC Insight content coming up, country news, results, internal selections, but first of all, a look at the things that are impacting the contest in May itself. And just so you can have it correctly in your diaries, it's the semi-finals on the 12th and the 14th of May on your television, and the grand final Saturday the 16th of May. Hotel prices high as usual. They should be coming down in the next couple of weeks or so. There'll be tickets on sale at the end of March. It's the third and last batch of tickets. We recommend not looking for the touts or things like any of that. There's an official website and there's an official reseller. You'll find links to them on the official website, Eurovision.tv, and we would always recommend going through there. In terms of the contest, may we have another act announced that will be appearing in the interval at the Eurovision Grand Final. DJ Afrojack is going to be joined by a choir and an orchestra to perform some of his EDM hits and presumably stuff that's been specifically composed for the contest. That'll happen when all the votes are coming in and being collated in the background from across Eurovision and beyond. He joins a medley of former winners who are also going to be performing the songs that won them the contest, as well as outside broadcasts from around Rotterdam. We also have details of the postcards. That's the little clips that happen in between the songs. Yes, they introduce the artists to you all, but the real secret is they're there so we can take everything off the stage and put the new stuff on again. So when somebody has a dry riser and a Perspex box and the next person has some lights and the next person has a drum kit, the postcards allow all that movement. Anyway, the postcards are going to fit in with the theme Open Up. Each postcard is going to start with a close-up of the performer's eyes. So if you suffer a case of ometophobia, look away a lot. It's a fear of eyes, by the way. Right, okay, so also happening this week is the head of delegation meeting in Rotterdam, or as many of the delegations are finding out, they're teleconferencing in. This is where the broadcasters all get together, they go over all the details, they submit their songs in the version for the CD, and the version for the show, and the various stems, and the karaoke tracks, all the licenses and clearances. They get details about the show, what the events are going on, changes to the rules and such like. So basically all of the nitty-gritty details, everybody gets in to a central place, physically or remotely, and gets everything planned through. No doubt there will also be discussion about the potential impact of coronavirus and how it could affect the Eurovision Song Contest. Those discussions will be happening, they will be ongoing as well, and frankly, the organisers have far more information than we do here at ESC Insight. So, stay calm and wash your hands. The EBU theme that you're used to, you know, the da-dun, da-da-dun, dun, it's about 16 seconds long. So if you go twice through, which is actually what Charpentier wrote it to do, while you're washing your hands, that's far better than singing Happy Birthday. But just don't do it to our guitars because we can rattle through it in about 8 seconds. So that's not long enough. What else do we have? A head of delegation meeting does give us one other bit of information about May. There are 26 songs in the grand final, but the running order of 25 of them are decided by the production team. But they can't really decide where their own song goes. So that's drawn out of a hat. It's already happened. The Netherlands will be singing 23rd out of 26. That's a pretty good spot in the running order for scoring well. Finally, during Eurovision 2020, we mentioned this briefly last week. We thought Poland was going to be hosting. Polish broadcaster TVP has confirmed, yep, we're going to host. We don't know when. It's likely November. Dates are not official. Host cities, not official. All of that is up in the air, but we are going to Poland nearer the end of the year. So, as you'll have guessed from having the head of delegation meeting, 41 songs are now sitting with the EBU. Now, not all of them are publicly released. We're still waiting on Azerbaijan and Russia as we record this show. Now, there's nothing in the rules that says you have to publish them and send them out to the public. You just need to hand them over to the EBU. But we're at 39 out of 41 now. And in the next couple of days, by the time you get round to hearing this on delay, we'll have our 41. Okay, so a lot of them came out of the shows at the weekend. We had a number of national finals. We had no national heats. That's it. They're all gone. It's all just finals. So we'll start with those results there. And it's probably good to start here with Denmark. It's one of the most awkward national finals I've seen in some time. Friday morning saw the Danish authorities put in place measures to address said coronavirus, which banned gatherings of more than 1,000 people. That meant the Melody Grand Prix, selection for Denmark at Eurovision, still took place in the Royal Arena, but it was behind closed doors with no audience. So surreal, a little bit more echoey, ghostly even. And so, they still went through all the camera angles it worked out. So you got some great close-ups of the artist on stage, then it would pan over to some empty seats and then back again, and your dolly zooms going through. Just very, very strange. Anyway, out of all of that, the 10 finalists were cut down to a 3-strong super final. That was done on a 50-50 vote. That saw Ben and Tan, Emil and Sander Sanchez going forward. They would face a 100% televote to find out who was going to be the winners. In this case, it was Ben and Tan's with their song Yes, and 2 of them saying yes to the ticket for the song contest in May. 10 ran. Israel, another selection there. Now, Eden Arlane had already won through Search for a Star in Israel to be the representative. The show last week was to showcase the 4 songs that she could take to the song contest, and winning through that was Fekir Libi. Notably co-written and produced by Ina Rachel, the song features 4 languages: English, Hebrew, Amharic and Arabic. So we're looking forward to a real big high energy number there. 4 ran. Over in Finland, a hotly contested UMK. Finish for new music, and no, I'm not attempting the finish. Broadcaster YLE was facing overwhelming public support for Erika Vikman and her son Chicken and that indeed won the public vote, but it was only 3rd with the juries. Winning the jury and 2nd in the televote and sneaking ahead in the combined score was Axel Kankanrata with Looking Back. There's going to be a lot of Eurovision fans looking back at Vikman's performance with a neon pink catsuit and 2 massive Finnish brown bears frolicking around the stage. That's people in fancy dress. They don't actually have bears on stage. Sometimes the goodies Eurovision stage shows are left behind in the national selections, but we'll always have YouTube to remind ourselves. 6 ran. Portugal in the final of Festival de Canção ran well past midnight, so long but not quite as long as San Remo from Italy. Eliza was 2nd in the jury, 2nd in the televote. That was enough to give her the victory and take Melhor de Sentir to Rotterdam. 8 ran. Sweden, one of the closest Melody Festivalen finals in history. Once more, the Eurovision fans were looking at Anna Bergendahl to redeem her non-qualification 2010, the only time Sweden's not qualified for the final. Also keeping an eye on Dotter, because many felt this was the song that had the most potential to win the Eurovision Song Contest. In the end, Anna Bergendahl finished 3rd on 107 points. Dotter finished in 2nd on 136, but winning out on 137 points, yep, just the 1 point in it, were the Mamas with their song Move On. Dotter and the Mamas each scored 65 on the jury, so it was a single point in the public vote that edged the Mamas over the line. And for those of you paying attention, yes, the Mamas were the backing singers for last year's Swedish Eurovision entry, John Ludwig, so they've already got a good feeling on what to expect. 12 ran. And at this point, I thought that would be it, but no, San Marino popped up a surprise kind of national final as well. On Friday, they announced that their singer would be Senate, who of course has already sung for San Marino in 2011 with the song Stand By, finished 16th in the semi-final. But as well as the artist announcement, 2 songs were announced as well, put up on her website, Obsession and Freaky, and people said, right, we're going to open a voting window. Whichever song gets the most votes is going to the Eurovision Song Contest. So it's a national final with international voting. Freaky came first, and just like that, our final national selection was over. Turan. Okay, so mopping up the internal selections as well. This is going to be a big section, so brace yourselves. Okay, take it as read that I've already, in each one of these, I'm going to say, go to youtube.com/Eurovision. You can listen to the song, which is the same true of all the songs that have won through the national selections and grand finals and everything there as well. And pretty much here, it's always going to be a case of that this was a previously announced singer and their track has now been released. There are a couple of differences as we'll get to as we go through. Let's start with Austria. Vincent Bueno brings us a slice of R&B with some sprinkles of funk over the top in Alive. Bulgaria, who are returning to Eurovision this year. That entry is led by Victoria, and we've got our Bond theme of the year here, although it's the Billie Eilish Bond, not the Shirley Bassey Bond. Tears Getting Sober is co-written by Victoria and the team at Symphonics, who of course in themselves have picked up a recent run of success, notably Bulgaria's second place in 2017 with Christian Kostov's Beautiful Mess. They will be hoping to go one better this year. Cyprus, already selected, as mentioned, but I think very early in the year, like our second artist, was Sandro, and we now have his song, which is very late in the season, so kind of bracketing us there with Running. Georgia's Pop Idol was a little bit shorter this year and ended up picking Tornika Kipiani. We now have the song to go with that. It's called Take Me As I Am, a dark, slow, driving opus, pushing for Georgia to be more Georgia rather than follow expectations of other countries. Ireland, who of course will always say, we've got the most Eurovision victories ever. At which point you reply, yes, but how many of them when people in the public could actually vote? Oh yeah, none. Right, anyway. Just keep everything in perspective. RT built up the hype this week for the reveal of their song. It was artist Leslie Roy as a singer who also co-wrote the song Story of My Life. Staging will come from the theatre troupe This Is Pop Baby, and as with all songs, it's not just the song and the composition, but it's also the live performance and what goes down the camera into the TVs across Europe and beyond when we get to May. There's going to be a lot of people rehearsing as it is. Because that staging, that also had to be submitted to the head of delegation meeting this week as well, so they could start building stuff and working out camera angles and everything. See, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Right, Netherlands, who of course are our hosts. Janu McCree was announced as Dutch singer on Home Soil again earlier in the year. The track is Grow, which is this soaring, just powerful expression. It's a sort of track that says you're going to get some nice jury votes and you're going to get a respectable result, but there's no push, I feel, for outright victory. After all, most of the team is hard at work actually putting on Eurovision. That said, we know it's going 23rd out of 26, so it's in a good spot as being the last big rousing ballads, depending on how they programme the last 3 songs after that. North Macedonia, a song composed by Nevena Neskosa and sung by Vasil. This week we heard the song, and there was the song title came out, and then there was hints about the video, and there were some still pictures, and there's some good social media priming, and then we got the song You for North Macedonia. Just before we went to record, we had Malta's song sneak through. Destiny, of course, was the winner of Junior Eurovision in 2015 for Malta, and won through Malta X Factor earlier this year. Her song's now debuted. It's called All of My Love. It's this great big Aretha Franklin-esque number. It's going to start climbing up the odds quite quickly there. It's also from the team at Symphonics, so it's a game on in Symphonics Bulgaria versus Symphonics Malta, and of course the other 39 countries as well. Russia, Oh, Russia. The punk pop rave viral sensations that is Little Big will be singing for Russia this year. Their Eurovision song hasn't been released yet, so all the focus has been on their big meme-driven viral hit Skibidi, and with the weird dance routines and everything going through that took it to 360 million YouTube views. It's a smart PR move, so you all know about the band and it's a song you'll recognise. We just have to hope that the actual Eurovision song is up to the challenge. It's expected to debut at some point in the next week on Russian radio station Radio Energy. Switzerland, an audience panel of 100 members, 20 strong international jury gave us a 50-50 split on their internal selection. Yon's Tears is the artist in the song Répondez-moi. Switzerland sending their first French language song to Eurovision since 2010. And that's it. We're done. Selections are all over and channel choices are made. Votes are all cast. We got our songs. Well, Azerbaijan and Russia will be, tiny little asterisks. So now we've got our songs. Go on. Call the winner. Nope. Yeah. That's why Eurovision is so much fun. Okay, a couple of snippets from countries that are outside of the selection process and everything. Albania, as expected, the winning song from Festival Kenya is an Albanian. Saj has been reworked to move back to English, which it was originally in English, then translated to Albanian. So now they're going back to the English version. So now we have that song "Fall from the Sky." It's been submitted. We will hear that shortly. Czech Republic, we have a remix of Kamama going out for Benny Christo's entry to the Eurovision Song Contest. We'll hear that Tuesday evening. It's already set up as a YouTube premiere at youtube.com/Eurovision. As with most entries chosen early in the season, there's been a chance to pump up the arrangements, a little bit more power, get it ready to be sung competitively and with live vocals. So just make sure everything works. Finland. Well, they've started planning already. UMK 2021 will again be an open artist and song selection, and you can start submitting your songs from September. If you're in Sweden, submissions have opened up for P4 Nasta. That's a new artist contest that takes place in September on Swedish radio. And one of the finalists is selected by a jury to be one of the contestants in Melody Festival, so it effectively becomes our first name of the season when we get to mid-September. Submissions in that are in the near future, though. You've got to get them in to Sveriges Radio by April the 1st. Back here in the UK, and on the BBC's Red Button, there's an interview between UK commentator Graham Norton and this year's singer James Newman. And at the end of that, there's another performance at the song. We get a good look at this, presumably at the backing singers that are coming along. And yes, there's a drum kit in the background as well. Dear BBC, it doesn't work when you put a drum kit on stage. In the same way that if you have a horse in your Eurovision video or postcard, you're not going to win. BBC never does well with a drum kit on stage. Take note. And finally here, Ukraine Solovey has also picked up a revamp ahead of the submission process at the heads of delegation meeting. The instrumentation has been built up here. There's just a little bit more power going through there as well. Okay, at the moment, all preview shows are still running, but you check your websites for details. We'll have links to the main websites back at ours, theescinsight.com. Just click on this week's podcast. Spain and the ESC pre-party on April 10th and 11th. London Eurovision on March the 29th. They are actually releasing just a couple more tickets now because they've got some technical specs that have given them some more space. So check the website on that one. And Eurovision in Concert, which is taking place on 4th of April, also has tickets available on sale as well. But if you do have tickets to those, keep an eye on the websites and social media accounts. The world is rapidly shifting and who knows what's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. Back at ESC Insight, well, Ellie's back from her trip up to Finland to be in the audience for UMK, so keep an eye out for the memories and thoughts and experiences of her journey up to there. We're expecting Ben Robinson to have a recap of Melody Festival and over on our Patreon podcast and some written up stuff as well. And of course, now that the head of delegation meeting has passed, it means that very soon we will be calling on all our jurors to get into the studio, and we start on another 8 episodes of Jukebox Jury to listen to all the Eurovision songs, discuss them and rank them as a hit, a miss, or a maybe. They're all going to be popping up on our regular podcast feed, but we do have a dedicated one for that one as well. So again, check website for details. Also, of course, we're putting out articles on Twitter and Facebook just to keep things going through, because we've got some great stuff in the archives that's still relevant. So keep an eye on the social media accounts, twitter.com and facebook.com/ESC Insight. Also, hey, we've got some nice stuff going through here. ESC Buzz. Which we have been running sort of in the background for a while. We've revamped the Twitter account there. So if you head to twitter.com/ESC Buzz, what happens is every 5-10 minutes or so, we send our little Buzz Bee bot around the Eurovision Song Contest world to find out what people are talking about, and we'll retweet it on that account. So if you just want a quick snapshot of what's going on, twitter.com/ESC Buzz. Also, a big welcome to everybody out there in Radioland, as ESC Insight has partnered up with the podcast radio to make sure the podcast goes out over the airwaves and DAB Plus in London and Surrey. So you can listen to us, I think it's 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. every Saturday at the London, well, if you're in London, tune your radios in on DAB Plus to the podcast radio, or you can listen online wherever you are in the world, podcastradio.com. And it's exactly what it says. If you stick around after ESC Insight, you will hear another podcast, another sampler, and if you actually are listening to this on the radio now, it works. Yay! Anything else? We've got a newsletter. Sign that up at the website, escinsight.com. We've got a Patreon, escinsight.com/Patreon, and in the calendar, today and tomorrow, as we're recording this, the 9th and 10th, it's the head of delegation meeting in Rotterdam and on the internet over Skype to get all the details sorted out for the Eurovision Song Contest. 12th and the 14th of May for the semi-final, 16th for the grand final. And for now, thank you all very much for listening. We'll warm up the amps. We'll get everything ready. We'll catch you next week for more Eurovision news. But for now, our guitars. The ESC Insight News Podcast was written and hosted this week by Ewan Spence. ESCinsight.com.